So this morning, I will show you some training about the product itself. I feel like most of us are fairly aware of the fact that we love nubiome, we feel better on nubiome, but can you actually answer some solid but basic questions about it? And we're going to help you do that today. On top of that, I'm going to give you some resources and some things all in one condensed location where you can just go to that page. Basically, it's like a landing page to promote nubiome. And if you go there, it will have little slides. You know how sometimes people speak in their stories and then they refer to a slide and they've got like the stats and the data and the information. I have some tools and resources to make pulling up that information really easy. So that if you want to educate your clients because you've got your nubiome in hand and you're like, I don't know what to tell them today, like, I don't know what to educate them on today, bam, it's literally going to be at your fingertips. You can scroll and pick an item to talk about. Okay, so it's very educational, but it's also very highly formulated for content creation for all of you. Okay. I recently listened to a podcast and there was a couple different things that were being discussed. The number one thing was there's a common myth that millionaires and people who are really wealthy have made their incomes on 10,000 different things, right? Like they've got seven streams of income, they did seven things at once, when in fact, most people, that's a huge myth. 95% of the wealthy population, they have made their money doing one thing first. And so I have decided to really streamline what I'm going to talk about. My goal is to create leveraged income through my own customer base so that we can teach others to do the same. And the primary focus for my 12-month period, and yours might differ, but this is my product plan, is to be promoting gut health through nubiome and maybe any other add-ons or additional information, but through nubiome for 12 months straight. This is this is a promotion, a long-term marketing plan. It's not even really long-term, it's a year, right? And it doesn't mean that you can't promote other things, but this is going to be my constant. This is going to be my thing. So I suggest that if this is something that you're interested in, these are the tools and the resources that you will need and that will really help you promote the item that you want to be selling and getting those subscriptions to help leverage that business. And on top of that, when someone purchases something from you, this is really important about your subscription. And this is kind of what we had planned to talk about today. When someone purchases a subscription through you, they're more likely to cancel it if they're not being consistently exposed to the benefits. I know that I love nubiome, but I couldn't answer you as to why I loved it or what it was doing in my gut because I forgot from 2 years ago the turmoil that my gut was experiencing until I sat and was like, oh my gosh, that was me. Oh yeah, that was me. That was me. That was me. That was me. Okay, so I'm going to bring up my slides. We're going to get right into it. I just wanted to let you know kind of what today's call looks like. And if you have anything that you think should be added, the recommendation is always welcomed. It's your resource to use. And if there's anything that you feel like you have a question about or you'd like more clarification about, put it in the chat. It's okay if we go a little longer doing those things. When we are more educated, people are more likely to buy from us because we're explaining those things to them, right? We're giving them real value. The number one type of content that converts to sales is educational content. When people feel like they are informed and like they are secure in their decision. So if we can combine personal, like entertaining content where it's us, because we're just naturally entertaining, people love to see people, and educational content, those are going to convert to sales more likely and more quickly than any other slide or before and after. Those are important, yes, but when they're educated and they can relate and they can say, yes, oh, me, that's me, then you've added value to their life and their decision-making process as well. All right, we're going to pull this up. Of course, like usual, sometimes the screens don't change for me, so if somebody could let me know. Okay, so somebody who is just kind of seeing this, I'm going to flip slides.
I see it, Lisa.
Okay, Tammy, did that change for you?
Yeah,
Okay,
got
perfect.
to the top topic.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, so we are going to talk about nubiome, specifically gut health. And in order to do that, we really need to understand how much of a hot topic this is. Digestive discomfort in any one of these forms, bloating, embarrassing or smelly gas, diarrhea, cramps, pain, constipation, inconsistent bowel movements, inconsistent um, like frequency, or maybe alarming what you're finding in there. Like all of these are signs and symptoms of a gut that just is not functioning the way that it should. And it's reported by 68% of the population, which is wild. And something additional to note is that it's most commonly reported by women. Okay, and I will show you on one of our resources. I have a chart that actually shows the difference between men and women. So just really quickly about nubiome, in case you haven't tried it, or something that these are things that you can market as well. The recommended usage is 2 servings daily. I was under the impression that it was one. I had great results and a great experience using one. But when I look back, I was actually often drinking two just because I really love the raspberry watermelon lemonade flavor of it. There are so many things. And again, this is in a resource document where you'll be able to pull these, so you don't need to screenshot these. But it's vegetarian and vegan friendly also. It's free from any artificial colors, flavors, sweeteners. It's gluten free. It's just an all around, well tolerated, awesome product. We very rarely have someone saying, oh, I can't use that because of that ingredient. Even the types of pre and postbiotics that are in it are very, very, very well tolerated. Okay, so I'm actually going to kind of skip through these slides because I am going to play something for you that kind of covers this. But basically, in your gut, there is a very delicate balance between good bacteria and bad bacteria. And there are so many things that can disrupt it: stress, illness, traveling, just exposure to different foods and bacterias, water, poor diet in general. This was really interesting to me. 98% of the population is not consuming enough fiber, which is actually the food for the good bacteria. Which that's like there's only 2% of us that are doing that, and it's not me. So again, these slides are going to be covered in the little video that I'm going to play for you. It's about 15 minutes long, but please stick for that, because the way that the woman who's running the video explains it, it's so valuable. And I do have it linked in the resource, but I just thought this is such a great time. You've allotted this time to do it. Let's do it together. So most people are trying to get their probiotics from some form of food, and there's a few issues with getting your probiotics. My kids are 7 up. Oh yeah, and it stops bad bacteria from colonizing. That's actually its very specific function of pre and post probiotics as a whole, is that it stops the ability of bad bacteria to actually create more chaos in your gut, right? Bacteria grows and grows and grows, and then it causes either good bacteria causes good reactions, bad bacteria causes problems, and actually stops you from growing big colonies, big groups of bacteria. So here's some of the things that, oh my gosh, biopics. I'm gonna have to go and fix that. But here are some things that are really important when considering probiotics, and things that kind of impact how effective it is. So it needs to be the right acidity. The product itself has to be able to get where you need it to go in order for it to work. Um, Other bacteria that are in the gut could actually beat out that probiotic, whether it's a prebiotic, probiotic, or postbiotic. You have to consider, how is it getting there? Like, how are you actually going to make this effective in the very, very acidic and volatile gut linings, right? They do have to have low oxygen tolerance, which means they have to function and they have to be able to be strong and effective where there's no oxygen. They cannot be processed in high heat for pre and postbiotics. So that also, that really determines like what pre and postbiotics we use. And they also have to have the ability not just to get to the gut successfully, but they actually have to have the ability to grow and support the gut in that stomach environment. So they actually have to be able to survive getting there and being there, but they have to be able to do something when they're down there. Okay, why nubiome? a few main reasons, but it supports healthy microbiome, right? So it's actually helping the good bacteria down there, which supports healthy digestion. So it helps to alleviate all of those symptoms. It supports antioxidant networks, and very few pre and postbiotics consider the importance of antioxidants for healthy biomes, right? It's often like, oh, just take a probiotic. There's a ton of studies that support probiotics and antioxidants together and how magical those are in the gut. It supports good and bad bacteria in the appropriate ways. And then it's a natural energy source. So just Google consequences of energy drinks, and you'll realize why you're going to choose your nubiome for a pick-me-up instead of anything else. Okay, so very quickly, I want to talk about pricing because I know some people's minds jump to, what do I charge my customers? What do I tell them when they're interested? Because when you start promoting, you are going, and when you use the tools that we're going to give you today, it's going to be so much more valuable that you are going to yield a lot more conversations. And so we want to equip you with just some decision-making abilities. Nubiome, specifically related to talking to your customers. I know you have good decision-making skills. Nubiome is $125 plus taxes and shipping for a one bag. This is 30 packets. So if we were using it twice a day, they may need two. But again, I would always start with the one bag. I had success with one bag. That's what I started with. And this is the retail price. If they are purchasing it one time from you and they are not interested in subscribe and save, it is $125 plus taxes and shipping. Okay, that is just the pricing. That is what we are committed to as a team and as an organization. And then the nubiome one-time price for affiliates or members is listed here. It's $100. And then if they subscribe and save, they will either get the subscribe and save 10% off of that $125, or they will get it off of the wholesale pricing if that's what you're offering it to them as a member. Okay, so decide how you're going to sell this nubiome. Are they all retail customers? Because it's then $125 for a one-time purchase, and it is 10% off. So they're saving $12.50 before shipping and taxes, because every province and state is different, of course. Now, these are just this is what you're paying if you're getting yours. I should say when you're setting yours up, okay? I want to show you this. I'm just going to move the chat for a second. I want to show you this resource that I've set you up with, and then I'm going to get right into the training video. Of course, it's not letting me out. There we go. Okay, so I have a board. It shows up like a landing page. It shows up like a website. And when you click on it, this is going to be your content package, okay? This is everything you need to promote or talk about nubiome. The pricing is going to go on there with some language. I'm just working through that this morning, actually. So when you click on that, or you send it to a teammate who wants to promote it, this is what's going to pop up. So again, just some quick little things that you can start talking about. What sets nubiome apart? These are the training videos, okay? So I'm actually going to play this one here for you today. It's, like I said, it's 15 minutes long, but then I'm going to show you what I have for you in order to take all of that information and actually use it. But in my personal opinion, it's really, really, really important that you at least hear this and you hear it from an educated source. Yeah, we've kind of touched on it already on the slides. But I'm going to play that because, again, you've allotted this time. Let's use it. And instead of adding it to the to-do list, right? Oh, I'm going to watch that later. I'm going to watch that later. Okay, Yvonne, that is an amazing question. I love that. How does nubiome compare to pricing with other gut health drinks? If that is something that we can definitely work on. I'm going to ask around to see if anybody has like a pricing difference. I know we had one for collagen, so I'm sure there's one out there. It is far less expensive than Happy Juice, but it's also not making the same claims as Happy Juice. So just, be mindful when you're promoting it that way. But for the individuals who are using Happy Juice for gut health, it's a really attractive alternative. Okay, if they're using it for cortisol control, we have some other things and some other ways. And yes, good gut health kind of helps with everything, but great question. Thank you for that. Okay, so I'm going to pop this on. Hopefully I can bring it up.
let's go to the next slide and introduce Dr. Shelley Hester. She has been with Nu Skin for almost 9 years now, and digestive health is an area that she's passionate about. And in fact, gastrointestinal health, that was the focus of her doctoral thesis. So, wow, who better to teach us and educate us on this important subject? Dr. Hester, take it away.
Thanks, Anjanelle. And I'm so excited to be with you guys today so we can really dig into what the microbiome is and digestive health, and then talk about what ingredients can impact digestive health and microbiome. So before we dig into ingredients that can impact digestive health, let's talk about what is a healthy microbiome. And so in our small and large intestine, we have a lot of bacteria. There's actually over 38 trillion bacteria. So we have more bacteria in our bodies than human cells. So it's pretty cool. And these healthy microbiome are so important for good digestive health, but more and more research is showing that they're important for other body functions as well, like cognition, immune health, even skin health. And so there's this understanding that gut health is so important for digestion, but also overall health. And there's this concept that you have these friendly and unfriendly bacteria, so kind of these good and bad bacteria. And I think many of us are familiar with the bad bacteria. We know these are the ones that cause infections and we want to avoid. But what we don't hear about as much of the good bacteria. And so what research is really showing is that there isn't just a specific bacteria that may be best, but it's these good bacteria providing these functions that are good for our digestive system and overall health. Unfortunately, this balance of good to bad bacteria can be disrupted by a lot of different things in our lives. So if you have mental stress, that can cause a negative balance. Traveling, so when you're exposed to different foods and beverages, that can impact your microbiome. Additionally, when you have a bacterial infection, sometimes you have to go on an antibiotic to get rid of that infection, but that does disrupt your microbiome. And then poor diet, and we'll touch on this in a few more slides, but if you're not eating enough fiber, not getting enough fruits and vegetables, you don't have as positive of good bacteria as you need. We can see that digestive discomfort is common. So what the pie chart is showing is that 68% of individuals say that they have bowel symptoms. And then if we look at the bar graph on the right, you can see the blue bars are the males and the red bars are the females. And what is showing here is that the red bar is always higher. And this is showing that females, these women, report more digestive discomfort, like bloating, flatulence, diarrhea, cramps, more than men. So digestive discomfort is an issue for both males and females, but there does seem to be a higher incidence for women. And part of digestive discomfort is coming from a disrupted microbiome, along with other physiological factors in the body. Very common approaches is probiotics when somebody feels that they have digestive health issues. And, this is a great approach. There's some really great probiotics out there that have very targeted benefits. And, the most common way that people, get their probiotics is eating yogurt. But one problem with this is that you're not eating it on a consistent basis every day, and you're not getting a dose that's actually efficacious for your microbiome and digestive health. There's actually quite a few different issues for probiotics. So for a probiotic to be effective, it has to stay viable all the way to where it gets into the large intestine, where it can actually colonize and have its beneficial functions. So to do this, you have to have the right pH, the right acidity of the product that it's delivered in. You have to have low oxygen because these bacteria, probiotics, really prefer not to have any oxygen in their environment. You have to process it very mildly. You can't have high heat. And, this is challenging. And then these probiotics actually have to survive that acidity, that low pH in the stomach, where they can get to that lower intestine. So probiotics can be a great approach, but there have to be other approaches as well that can help with the microbiome and digestive health. So in the next slide, you will see that fortunately there are other approaches. There's prebiotics, there's these probiotics like we've been talking about, and then postbiotics. And in addition to these three, you can also just live that healthy lifestyle. Is so important for healthy digestion. So getting physical activity every day, eating that healthy diet for fruits and vegetables and fiber, and even getting enough sleep and being consistent when you sleep. You know, research is coming out when you have disrupted sleep and your sleep patterns are different. This causes shifts in your microbiome. So it's really interesting. So in the next slide, we want to talk about what are all these pre, pro, and postbiotics and what do they mean? So like we talked about in the middle, probiotics, this is the living beneficial bacteria. And we don't have any more slides on probiotics today. Today, we're going to focus on prebiotics and postbiotics. So prebiotics are nutrients that actually help the microbiome thrive. So prebiotics serve as the food for the bacteria so that they can thrive and grow. And then postbiotics are actually the beneficial substances that are produced by these bacteria. So these bacteria do not have to be alive. They can be dead, but they're still having this positive benefit within the body. We just want to focus here on all of us know that we need to eat, you know, these fruits and vegetables, and getting enough fiber is so important, but we aren't doing this. And this is what the bar graph is showing on the right, is that the average intake is below 20 grams a day, where the recommended intake for both women and men is closer to 30 or above. And so we're just not getting the prebiotics, that fuel for the microbiome that we need to get. Now we want to really touch on what are some ingredients that can impact the microbiome and digestive health. And the first one is a prebiotic, so xylo-oligosaccharides. It's quite a mouthful. So today we will refer to that as XOS. The next one is a postbiotic, which is a bifidobacterium, BPL1. And then we'll also touch on caffeine, which is providing healthy energy. And then we'll talk about an ingredient that provides antioxidant protection, pomegranate extract. So now we'll dive into XOS. And, you know, this is a prebiotic. And so what's really unique about XOS is that it's effective even at a low dose. So many prebiotics, to actually have their beneficial effect on the bacteria in your gut, you have to have a fairly high dose. And the problem that comes along with that, especially when you start on a prebiotic, is that can cause some digestive discomfort. And so with XOS, you can give a low amount that's efficacious, and we'll go into a few of those studies in a second, but then you're not having any of those negative digestive discomfort effects. And so XOS is supported by a lot of clinical studies and has excellent stability. So now we're going to dig into a couple of the studies that have been done with XOS. In the first study, this was done in healthy subjects, and they took 1.2 grams of XOS in a rice porridge, or they took the rice porridge alone for 6 weeks. And what these subjects saw was that there was actually an increase in the lactobacillus and the bifidobacterium population, so those good bacteria. And then there was a decrease in the Clostridium perfringens population, so kind of those bad bacteria. The second study was in constipated women. And this was a study where subjects took sucrose, which is this table sugar, with and without 0.7 grams of XOS for 6 weeks. And what they saw is that their mean frequency of bowel movements went from 2 at baseline to 4 after 6 weeks. So a significant improvement in digestive health. And so what both of these studies demonstrate is that XOS, it impacts those populations of the bacteria like we want for prebiotic, but then it's actually impacting digestive health in a way that people can feel. What's great about this study is that it's giving 2 grams of XOS daily. And what you can see compared to baseline to week 8 is that there's a shift in those bacterial populations. You're increasing the Bacteroides, you're decreasing the Firmicutes. And again, the shift is what you tend to see in healthier individuals. And what's great about this study is that you're not only seeing that microbiota shift and benefit, But also these subjects did not report any adverse effects. So just again, demonstrating this XOS is well tolerated while having benefits. So now we are going to really dig into BPL1 or a postbiotic. And so like I mentioned earlier, and Angela also mentioned, is that basically postbiotics are these substances that are produced by bacteria that have been shown to have a beneficial effect, even if the bacteria are no longer alive. And so this is really a new area of research that's evolving. And the main advantage is stability. Like we talked about earlier, probiotics have to be viable, they have to stay alive, and this can be challenging. But for a postbiotic, they can have their benefit and they don't have to stay alive. And so BPL1 is this naturally occurring probiotic and postbiotic. It was originally isolated from healthy humans, actually from healthy breastfed infants. And there's a lot of preclinical and clinical studies to support BPL1 and its effect. And it's been shown to work as either a live probiotic or a heat-treated postbiotic. And it's actually been shown for some indications that the heat-treated postbiotic is actually more effective than that live probiotic. And so the next slide is showing how BPL1 was initially selected. So the researchers actually did a screening study where they screened a number of bifidobacterium strains and lactobacillus strains. And basically they used this model C. elegans, which is this really good model of looking at lipid amount or fat reduction. And what they found is that BPL1 was more effective than any of the other strains that were screened. And then what the bar graph on the right is showing is that the researchers then found that the live BPL1 was effective at reducing fat, but so was a heat-treated BPL1. And so the researchers then dug into this a little more because they asked, well, what is it about the BPL1 that's unique for reducing fat? And so what we see in the next slide is where they actually looked at the live BPL1 with fat reduction, the heat-killed BPL1. And then what that last bar is showing is that they actually isolated a compound from BPL1, which is called lipoteichoic acid or LTA. And it was just as effective as both the live and the postbiotic. And so the researchers even understand what is the compound having these positive benefits. So the next ingredient we want to touch on is caffeine and how this is a really important ingredient for attention and energy. It's this healthy energy source. And there's a lot of studies that support its use. And the one that we highlight on this slide is just showing that in athletes, when they consume caffeine, it helps them basically exercise longer. It increases their time to exhaustion. But also these athletes were able to basically improve their cognitive skills during and after exercise. So just demonstrating that caffeine is important for this attention and energy effect. And then the next ingredient that provides both antioxidant benefits, but also microbiotic benefits is pomegranate. And specifically pomegranate extract is very rich in these polyphenol antioxidants. And what's really unique about this ingredient is that it is providing the antioxidant benefit in our bodies. But actually, these pomegranate polyphenols are unique in structure and that they can actually get into our lower intestine and interact with our microbiome. And during this interaction, the microbiome actually utilizes the polyphenols or these antioxidants for fuel and makes metabolites. And these metabolites are then absorbed into our body and have these systemic benefits. And so this is a really great ingredient for antioxidants, but also having that benefit on the microbiome. The ingredients that we've talked about today, they support a number of benefits in our body. They can support this healthy microbiome and intestinal health. They can support this good balance of the good and bad bacteria that we talked about. They support healthy digestion. They're supporting healthy energy, especially that caffeine, supporting your antioxidant network with like the pomegranate ingredient. And then it is quite unique in that it is, these ingredients are providing these benefits to the healthy microbiome, through this dual approach of using both pre and postbiotics to target a healthy microbiome. So thank you so much.
Of course, I can't get back. I'm trying to get it exited. Okay, here we go. I want to show you what I have available for you. Let me bring my share up again. You're probably going to think this is freaking awesome. I hope you do, because I think it's awesome. It's kind of my content plan, because all of that information, you might be thinking like, oh my gosh, I love it. I want to take nubiome. I love it forever. And now you're thinking, how do I get all my people to know all of that stuff all at the same time, right? Like, how do I create content out of all of that? It's just too much. So what you have access to is now very, 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 very simplified content ideas, and literally it's like a fill in the blank. I'm going to show you how to put these together. Okay, let me just pull my screen up. Okay, so I do have the nubiome science slides. So all of the photos that were her um, on her presentation, they are in fact, oh, okay. Well, when you click on it regularly, they are in fact loaded in this bubble here. Okay, when you click on this button, all of the slides that she has. So if you want to download that image and include it in your story and say, you know, I found this really interesting stat, or we were talking about this, like you can actually have a fun image, something to grab attention and add it to your story. Okay, you can use them in posts. This one here is probably my favorite. Hopefully it lets me, it does. Okay, this one here is different hooks that you can use. These are meant to be talking hooks, but I've been using them in posts and they're actually grabbing a lot more attention, getting a lot more conversation going about the product. So these are all healthy hooks, meaning they're for a health and wellness account. So whether you're talking about gut health or working out or anything that might be related to improving your gut health, gut situation, overall health and wellness, you can use these specifically.
Maybe go for a while.
Oh, I'm just going to ask that you guys
What?
mute. Okay, there we go. So these are all things that you can literally read through. For those of you who are like, oh, I'm so overwhelmed, I don't know even what to fill in the blanks. There are 100 hooks. Okay, and before you say, I don't know how to fill those in, I don't know what to put in there, I also have 30 days of wellness content ideas. Okay, so you can kind of compare those and put them together and think like, you know, day one was share your word of the year. You can go through and find a hook that matches up with you wanting to share your word of the year. Okay, that's just an example. But also for the next, and this won't apply past this January and early February session, but for 30 days, for 30 minutes in the morning, we are getting on, we are using hooks, we are using content prompts, I'm giving ideas, we're filling them in. We're going to start applying these healthy hooks and stories and nubiome, and you're going to be able to do it in real time and get real access. So if you can work with somebody and get some help with that and get some ideas, don't you find that like once you start doing something, it gets easier and easier? I don't know if for any of you who have been on those calls, don't you find that every day it gets a little easier to actually write your post out, right? Like it's so hard sometimes, but it gets easier and easier. So this here, these next two files, this one is 25 B-roll ideas of things that you can take that don't necessarily include your face. Okay, they're just 25 general content ideas. So here, for example, number 23, outdoor adventure. You take the drink along on a hike or a walk. Okay, so you just would take a little video of you trucking along with your water bottle and it's got nubiome in it. That would be a great video to record. And then you can use one of the hooks and some of the information to like put that content together. Okay. And then this one, um, is, oh, maybe this is the one I clicked on. Yeah, sorry. This is the personal one. The other one is just general content. But this one is specifically with you, and these would make great short videos in your stories or from your stories. So anytime you do a story, if you're not actively talking to the camera, but you're recording something, maybe you're just recording mixing up the drink, maybe you're recording putting ice in your drink, whatever it is. Um, these are just B-roll videos. They don't have to have any conversation or talk, but they are really great to grab from if you're feeling like, oh gosh, I look extra terrible today, or I don't have time to record a video. I'm literally shaking my water bottle with the nubiome in it. These are things that you can start to think about and have prepared. Or maybe you're like, I do have 10 minutes today. What could I record? And I look half decent. I got some clothes on today. These are just some ideas for you, okay? Additionally, which is, let me just go back to it. You also have the highlights from that webinar. So I went ahead and I actually did it into like Cole's notes. So if you need something to copy and paste, you want to copy and paste the text right into your stories or right into your posts, this is all set up right here. Okay, some things about the ingredients. This section right here that I'm highlighting, this this is short enough that you could do 4 little slides on your stories, whether it's you mixing up your drink or before and after photos or whatever it is, talking about each one. It's not hard. Hey, there's an ingredient in here that its short form is called XOS, and it specifically helps with constipation, and it's really effective at low doses, which means that you're not going to get like diarrhea when you start this product. Okay, boom, a slide. So use the information and create some content out of it. And you're probably thinking like, oh, I can't just come up with content that easily like you do. Well, you have to practice. You gotta get into it. You gotta educate yourself. You'll be like, oh, I really want to tell people about that piece of it, right? I was really interested with the pomegranate extract and the fact that most pre and postbiotics or probiotic products, they focus exclusively on the probiotic and they don't incorporate the importance of having an antioxidant and how much, again, more effective, more magical, whatever your words you want to use are. They don't have to be sciencey words. They just have to convey the message that you're trying to explain. So I have that. We don't stop there. And I know this feels like, oh my God, so much. But this is also 100 days of nubiome stories. So if you're like, well, I still don't know what to put in my stories about that specific topic, these are 100 not only topics, but just kind of short form answers or explanations of what you could talk about. Okay, so number one, for example, introduce the topic of gut health and its significance. So you could start by saying, hey, I want to introduce this topic to my page, which, I've briefly touched on or not really touched on. And it's a super hot topic right now. You're probably seeing it all over the place, gut health. Okay, there, boom. You just completed number one, the first part of number one. Now, secondly, you want to tell them why. Everything is why. Always come back to why. Why are you introducing gut health? And no, you're not going to read off, I'm introducing it because nubiome helps keep your gut healthy, which is important for your overall well-being. No, that's just the explanation, right? Tell them why you started it. I want to talk to you about gut health. I recently started this gut health lemonade called nubiome because I pooped every 10 days and that's just not acceptable. And everyone is talking about how gut health doesn't just support your digestive health and like actually being able to be regular, which was my main concern, but it's so good for so many other things in your overall wellness, right? See how I took like the description and I expanded and I made it personal. So this is what these are for. Every single one of these. Number 5, talk about bloating and its effect on daily life. I have a very personal story related to bloating. I could smell an apple and I would get bloating. And it was awful. And it was literally destroying my joy in everything. I would go somewhere and I'd be walking like all hunched over because my gut hurt. I couldn't enjoy a fair with my kids. I couldn't, nothing. I was just always sore. So I'm talking about the bloating context. And then I'm saying nubiome literally eased my bloating in a few days. And it does that by supporting or helping the good bacteria, helping remove sludge and kind of keep things regular and healthy on the inside. And just start there until you can get more science into your conversation, right? You have to start somewhere. That's why these literally are listed like this, because we don't expect you to come on and talk like a scientist. We're expecting that you're sharing your story, that you're relatable, and then yeah, you are educating them a little bit and a little bit while you're educating yourself. Okay. You are only meant to help the people that are just behind you in the topic, um, in the concern, in the decision. So you have all of that. And then there's also the nubiome images and posts. Now, these are still, of course, okay. Well, they are still being updated. But this is also like, maybe you don't want to go into all of these little clickies. These are literally just little images where you're like, oh, okay, yes, I'm going to talk about how in your gut there's good bacteria and bad bacteria. And if you're not doing the right things and eating enough fiber, they get out of balance and they can cause all those yucky symptoms that I was experiencing. Okay, so these are all just like, these are just to expand on that training. Okay, start jotting down some things you want to tell your audience, some things that are really interesting to you. Um, and again, all of these images, those are up in that first science slides. Okay, because you may want to actually talk about 68% of the North American population complains about discomfort in their gut. The blue line is the guys, the red line is the girls. Like it is way more us ladies. That's how I am planning on talking about it, right? I'm just bringing awareness. I'm not trying to give them some big stats or I'm just bringing awareness. Okay. I'm going to end this. I'm going to stop the share here. And I'm just going to leave a moment for anybody who wants to ask questions. I will share the link into the social collective community. I'm actually going to pin it to featured. So your board is going to be there. It's all the training. I'm actually even going to link this training on how to use that in case you're like, oh, wait, what did she say? I'm going to link this as a YouTube link at the very, very, very bottom of that board that I'm going to share. I'm going to share the images. Of the actual prompts. It's all going to be in there. But this is a challenge to show up in your stories every single day with your nubiome. Okay. You got on this call for a reason because you were interested in promoting the product, learning how to promote the product. This is where you've gone to your first day of school and you're like, oh, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. And it's okay. It's a completely normal feeling. Just start small. And we're actually going to really break it down. Please, if you can get on those calls from 6 to 6:30 in the morning. I have otherwise been sharing the prompts into the chat. So just make sure that you're being disciplined to go and grab that. Or check out the stories of people that are doing the work, that are creating the content that really helps get the creative juices flowing for yourself. Okay. Does anybody have any questions about any of the content or you want to kind of further explanation on anything? That is a really great item that we should look is the pricing difference. I love having that conversation. So I will definitely look for that. If not, we'll get one created. I'm just going to stop the record.